experience the full power of the dark side. Good!
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Misa back!
Prepare to fire!
Oh no!
Hello, and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 23, recorded on Wednesday, February 25th, 2015. I'm your host, Fred, aka Sith Lord Korv. And joining me tonight is the official representative of Sith Intelligence, Agent Lewis Olan.
Hello, Fred. Hello, Twitch. Hello, YouTube. What is going on? And as always, potential spoiler alert, greetings from the Sith Intelligence Commander.
I don't really think it's a spoiler at this point. So what did you do over the last week? Did you just kind of chill out in the Hoth?
Ugh. No, we're not going to talk about that Winter Wonderland. This is a nightmare.
Did you make little snow angels with Drake?
No, but I'll get the trick later on in the show, though.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah.
And also joining us is Paige, aka Captain Kimbre.
Hello, everybody.
Guess who's back? Back again. Adi Tenti. And Treek.
Goopa Noopa.
You can find out more about the show at StarWarsBeyond.com. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SWTORnetwork.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. And you can tweet us at StarWarsBeyond. Our usual record time is Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/NoSHTGaming. And Paige, what is coming up in the Captain's Log tonight?
Coming up in the Captain's Log, we have our last week in game. Well, our last 2 weeks in game, actually. BioWare Austin and the Electronic Sports League partnership. Agent Olan's intelligence report, where Lou will present Force Powers, Part 2. Plus, the weekly winner of the Agent Star Wars Trivia Question of the Week and your feedback in our community holo feed.
And as always, we do have something quick to mention. This really will be quick. Well, we hope, at least.
Will it be? Will it?
Stay tuned, TM. Yes, and if you haven't heard, as of yesterday, Relics of the Gree returns to SWTOR.
Boo.
Yes,
Boo.
one of the rare events, like an oasis in the desert. Relics of the Gree has returned. It went live yesterday. Okay, and it's going to run from February 24th until March 3rd. Okay, if you want to take a look, go to the main website. Alright, and this is what they have there. Begins and ends at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 12 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. What level range? It's from levels 50 to 60. So yeah, fresh level 50s, you can go ahead, start the quests, and partake in the event. What's the mission? Explore Ilum's contested area in the western ice shelf to uncover the mysterious purpose of the Grey Seekant, an enormous ancient Greece starship. Get ready to face a powerful opponent that awaits you at the center of this ancient vessel. Visit the in-game news terminal located on Carrack Station or Viking Space Dock to get started in your adventure. And they do have a little blurb here for featured rewards. For mounts, they do have, those awesome spheres, the Cyan Sphere, the Blue Sphere, and Red Sphere. transport enclosure vehicles. All right, obviously you gain reputation with the Green Enclave, and that allows you to access this, the armor sets they have. They have white, red, blue, scalene armor. If you have no idea what it looks like, folks, kind of think of the latest Tron movie and how they look with those highlights and effects. Yes, kind of similar to that. And the weapons. These are the great Helix weapons of all types. Obviously, the lightsaber, the single lightsaber hilt, double-bladed lightsaber, blaster rifle, blaster pistol, sniper rifle, and so on. The Gree have their own versions of them, and to me, they look pretty cool. I like them. Also, in-game pets, the L1-L Defender, the L1-L Scout, the miniature Gray Secant Gree Digitization Cube. It's a Gree-themed rest and recharge item. So kind of like you have to rest to recover your health, power, force, whatever. This cube will now do it for you. And if you head over, I think, to Dolphy's site, she actually has a little 30-second video of how it actually works and what it looks like. So it's pretty cool. And more. And if you're unsure of anything, you can go check out Dolphy's website for a complete walkthrough, and you can get a complete breakdown for the gear, armor, etc. for the event.
Alright, so basically the same garbage that comes back every time they run this event, plus a few cosmetic pieces of crap that were recently added.
Yes, you are correct.
Alright, now you can tell I'm really excited because they run this event, once a year? So even if I started it right now, I'd never get my reputation high enough to do anything.
Well, let's see, I'm trying to figure it out. Actually, you can. If everyone, obviously, if you've worked the reputation system before, everyone starts off as an outsider, okay? And from you to go from outsider to newcomer, you need at least 2,500 faction. And then to go from newcomer, let's see, to the next stage, you need 70. No, it's not 7,500. I think 5,000. Not sure. I forgot offhand. And it's not cumulative, so. But you can do it. Okay. You can go to outsider, then to newcomer, and then the next one there is friend, and you need friend status to actually start buying the armor sets that are available.
You gotta get friend zoned by the Gree before you can start buying the stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, that's odd. Normally when you get friend zoned, you don't get the reward.
Yeah, but...
I think you might be misinterpreting the whole friend thing. Maybe they mean friendly instead of friend zoned. Like, oh yeah, she's getting a little friendly there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the third tier of reputation with the Gree. Once you hit friend, then you can actually start buying the armor sets from them.
Now, Kimbreo, you're talking about how Treat gets friendly with Lou every night.
Ugh.
I pretend that I don't hear her making the noises.
Well, you can't deny that there's a lot of lumps in his bed.
That's because it's an old mattress.
I don't go in his room, so I wouldn't know. You spend too much time in there. You guys have no boundaries.
She's like a mama bunny. She rips her fur out with her mouth and tucks it into his sheets.
Me too.
I want you to stay warm.
That's why she leaves some presents under his pillow. Anyway, save us. Take us into the captain's log.
It's like, turn down service. Is this chocolate? No. Okay, sorry. All right, my weekend game. I played through Yavin with Fred and Lou. What the hell was that?
I think Lou just choked to death.
Are you okay?
We have to get better food in the ship.
That wasn't your drink. That was Treek's urinal.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Oh.
Are you okay?
No.
No, wait a minute. I know. Are you okay?
No, Talos. All right, I played through Yavin with Fred and Lou. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of boring. There didn't seem to be a lot of excitement there. I did not do the flashpoints though, so maybe that will wrap it up for me and, put a nice little bow on everything. I will do the flashpoint eventually. The planet was very beautiful, but it was small. And it was over way too fast. It seemed rushed and even a little unfinished to me. And I know a lot of people complained about having lag issues on that planet. Luckily, the entire time I was there, all 10 minutes of it, I didn't have any lag issues. More than anything, though, the impression I got leaving the planet is I really wanted to ignite my lightsaber through Shatil's face, because I think she's nosy, and she needs to get her some business. And I also played my power tech with Fred Sorcerer for the double XP weekend. Was that the weekend before last, or was it last weekend? I don't even remember. With me having HK and Fred having Andronicus, we're pretty much unstoppable with me tanking and him healing. And it makes me wonder if I'd like my trooper a little more if I'd switched her to a tank. But probably not, because she's not as cool as my power tech. And they're, in a way, kind of the opposite, because I played my trooper dark side, but as a nice person, as much as you can be a nice person when you're going dark side. Like, I made her still be respectful and to say nice things, but if I had a dark side choice, I made it. My power tech is light side, but she's a total jerk. Like, she's completely in it for the money, and if I can not help someone, I just don't do it. I love it. She's a lot like my smuggler, except my smuggler was completely a middle of the road character. That is all I did over the last 2 weeks.
All right, Lou, so what were you up to?
Well, as always, went back to steadily farming the dailies on 6 of my max level characters to build up their pool of base accommodations, because at this point, I'm just getting them ready to, as I mentioned last time, get them ready to at least start attempting the story modes, the current content. So I want to make sure they have all the gear that's available to them. So probably another couple of weeks or so, they should be out for that. And then, they all have the 7 pieces of armor, from the headpiece, bracers, belt, and so on. They've got them all. And right now I'm trying to do a comparison looking at the earpiece and the implants that are available at those basic comm vendors. Or what I'm finding, especially the past few days, is that sometimes the crafted stuff, the crafted 186 gear stuff, is actually better, or works better for what I want to do, and then that just leaves me more time or more opportunities to use the credits that I'm earning doing these dailies to actually buy the augment kits and the augmentations, and then beef up the rest of my stats that I need to. Especially for my DPS characters, for my melee DPS characters, like my Marauder, my Sentinel, my Shadow, my Assassin. Obviously, I want to get their melee, cap that out, their accuracy actually to over 100. To actually hit things. All right, while I'm doing this content. And then the same thing with my range, especially my Operative. All right, my Power Tech, my Vanguard, and my Gunslinger. Definitely, I have to get their accuracy. So I foresee a lot of money going into buying their augment kits and the augmentations, and then paying for the augments anyway at that station. So that's why I'm doing all this farming, to get it all out of the way. And I know for some folks that can be boring, but I don't have any problems doing it, because for me that's the goal I set for myself for these characters. So I don't mind doing it at all. And plus, when I do the dailies, I do it at such odd times in the day or night, and there's always something going on in chat to at least keep me entertained while I'm doing this. So it's never a dull night when I'm doing them. I will say, though, especially the past week, I call more of a surprise class that I enjoy playing a lot now is my Shadow. All right, I put her in the Serenity spec, and I've been having a blast with her. Up to this point, my only stealth class experience has always been on my Operative. All right, and she's always been spec for healing. And this is from launch. Okay, I have forgone playing the Assassin or the Shadow for so long, or even the Scoundrel. I've always played a stealth class. It's always been my Operative.
Now, Serenity, is that what they renamed the balance to when 3.0 came out? That your
Yes.
sword tree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I've been leveling my Sage up as, balance.
And I believe, this is the DPS spec. And I have to say, melee DPS with stealth capability is always fun to play, no matter what game it is. Okay? And Tor is no different. It is a crap ton of fun doing it. And on my Shadow, it's like I tear through dailies or any other generic PvE content in Tor with no problems. Okay, unless I hit a lag spike or if I get lazy, if I miss something by, for whatever reason, yeah. Then I have issues. But other than that, no. No big issues at all. And it's been a lot of fun doing it. As such, and because of this, I am now going to take my assassin off the back burner and start leveling her up. Alright, now the thing is, with my assassin and my shadow, I created these characters 2+ years ago. Alright, because that's what I do in a lot of these MMOs, is that if I know I'm going to start playing a whole range of classes, what I'll do is I'll actually reserve the name for that avatar on the server. That way at least I know when I get to that class or that character, I have the name I want. So imagine, this is 2012 now, maybe June, July, August 2012 when I made these characters. And they just sat there, Jedi Covenant, for years. Unused. But they were there. So now, now I'm actually taking them out and actually playing with them and enjoying what these classes have to offer. And like I said, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That is interesting, though, how you pre-made all these characters and chose their names like that. Did you have any difficulty coming up with the names when you were first picking them?
For some of them, no, because these are some names that I actually carry over from all my other MMOs. Like games I played from EverQuest 1, Dark Age Camelot, from Galaxies, EQ2, from Rift. I'll take these same names over into this game. And also in the next game. So
yeah, that makes it a lot easier. I mean, you've seen my names. It's like I just roll my face against the keyboard until something comes out.
Right. Although I will say I did change my assassin's name because once I started watching Game of Thrones and I started reading the books, I actually changed my assassin's name to Melisandre. So that's the one name change I did.
Oh, now everybody's gonna copy you.
Unless they know how it's spelled. But anyway, as such, I did spend a bunch of cartel coins and some in-game credits to open up 2 more character slots on JC, or Jedi Covenant. Alright, because remember, I moved my trooper over to Shadowlands, so now I really have no troopers on Jedi Covenant, so I had to fix that. Because I actually have to have that, I guess that whole class list there on the home server.
I believe that opens up 2 slots on every server for you now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it does. Which is nice. So wherever I go now, now I have 2 additional slots on Shadowlands, and Harbinger or wherever I go, I'll have 2 more slots, which is cool. And that's a nice feature. A lot of other games, it just opens up slots on that server. Like I know for was it World of Warcraft? That's it. You don't only open it for one server, like whatever server you're on. If I'm wrong,
if WoW let you buy character slots, did they?
Wait. Which game is this? Oh, damn it. I think Lotro, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that sounds right, because WoW was the one where people were asking for slots for the longest time, and they finally added 1 to every server when they added Mists of Pandaria, so people could make a Panda Monk.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay, Panda Monks. No. But.
No.
But no. So one of the things I'm going to fix, though, too, with this, the fact that I have no healer classes on the Republic side of Jedi Covenant. All my Republic classes in Jedi Covenant are all DPS.
That's
with a
really
range,
surprising.
Yeah,
I would have thought you would have done
DPS.
Scoundrel.
Nope. I have no healers whatsoever. And since I moved my trooper to Shadowlands, I actually had no tank either for the Republic side. But now that I actually made a Guardian, but she's been there for a while. So now I actually, just a couple of days ago, I rolled a Commando. And she's going to go Combat Medic. Right now I got up to level 13. And sometime this week, or maybe this weekend, I'm actually going to create a Sage.
With dreadlocks?
No dreadlocks. Although I did buy the tousled hair look as well. That's one of the new purchases I picked up too.
We'll
shaggy
talk
hair.
about hairdos in a little bit.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about hairdos, I get really upset.
Uh-oh. And speaking of the other server that we play on, like on Shadowlands, last week I was on the Republic, so I was on Carrick Station, and I saw a player character named Spike.
Like,
all right, and
was it spelled right?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, though. If anyone out there has ever watched Cowboy Bebop, which is an anime from the... okay. mid to late 90s, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I rolled a bounty hunter, a female character, and I got her close enough to Faye Valentine. And I'm thinking about, I'm still mulling over whether I make her DPS Merc with 2 pistols or just keep her as a DPS Power Tech.
So is that another character from that show?
Mm-hmm.
So you gonna go hang out with Spike?
No. Hell no. Just inspiration, though. Because I've seen some of the outfits people have put together in the game. Like, I've seen pretty good approximations of Wonder Woman in the game already. Okay? With the boots, the shorts, the chest piece, and the gloves. And yeah, I mean, you can probably get a tiara thing going, too. So, it's amazing what some people have done in the game.
And some other people, it's appalling what they've done in the game.
Yes, and on the flip side of that, there are people who have done some appalling things with the avatars in the game.
Body type 4s with the G-string.
Yeah, and the slave girl's outfit. Yeah, that just doesn't need to be done. But the big thing is the Grievin. All right, finally. All right, this is the only SWTOR event I have never partaken in at all since the game launched. Because the last time every time we've had it, it's been on. You know, Uncle Sam has called me away. It's always been that one time that year.
Were you here when the the Shevin event ran?
Yes, I was there for that.
I thought you were gone for some reason.
Nope, I ran that, and some of the other events, I was actually able to run because I was actually whatever barracks or post I was staying at actually had internet, so I could bring my laptop in when I was free. I could actually get on for a bit and play.
Nice.
So every time the Gree event ran, though, it was just I just couldn't do it. So finding now that it's actually here, I'm actually partaking in it and having a lot of fun. And late last night, I finally understood why people complained about why it runs, why it doesn't run so often. Because obviously, looking at how you gain the reputation with any of the factions in the game, and then realizing that the game, the event only runs a week or so, and especially if you want some of that gear and armor that's available off the vendor there. For example, if you want the Gray Helix weapons, some of them are like, I think for the single blade lightsaber, it's 24 helixes, Gray Helixes.
Well, let's remember the history of this event here. This was the first recurring event that BioWare made, and when it first came into the game, they were running it like every other week. And then after a couple months, everybody's like, "Oh, we're sick of this Gree event. It's happening way too often." So now they run it like once a year.
Yeah. So you know what? You got what you got. What you complain about? All right.
People that did it early on maxed out the reputation and got all the rewards really early because the event was happening literally every other week. And then now everybody's hard pressed to max out that reputation because it happens so rarely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, I'm not going to assign blame because to me both sides are equally at fault regardless, because you had the player base complain, it happens too much, and BioWare went the extreme other route and said, you know what, fine, it only happens once a year. Or so rarely, it's like, my God.
One of my things is why would you complain that an event happens too much? Then don't do it. Go do something else. What do you do the weeks when it's not happening? You're doing something else. Because you're complaining.
Right. And to me, that's like, why would you complain about the events? Like, all right, we all know, Bounty Contract Week comes out, once every month? Okay, cool. That's great. Everyone has fun doing it. If you max out on it, you max out on it.
Well, Bounty Contract Week, to me, that's like the perfect recurring event because you know when it's coming, roughly, and it happens once a month, and that's fine. And the Gree event, for what it is, I think at the most, it should be 2 months between the Gree event coming. There's no way it should take 6 months to a year for the Gree event to come back. Especially when it first came out and it was literally happening every 2 weeks. That cadence was way too fast for that. But they went to the far extreme other end of things. And it's like the people that did the event early on have a way unfair advantage over people that are trying to get into it now.
I mean, yeah, I can see that point as well. But, by the same token, now that the event's live, and they're obviously going to use the metrics to see how the player base or how much the player base actually participated in it, hopefully a lot, so that they can attest to, yeah, it's popular. People are doing it. Now let's plan for its next appearance, for the rest of the year. And to your point, Fred, I can see them doing it if they don't want to bring it back too often, because again, they don't want to hear the player base going the other way and saying it happens too much, blah blah blah. Okay, you know what? If it comes back once a quarter, all right, which is once every 3 months, folks, that's fine. For a week, then it happens. It happens a few times a year. Everyone knows exactly when it's going to pop up. You can plan ahead. You can plan appropriately. And it gives you time to actually start doing stuff. And for me, if it did happen that way, that's cool. Obviously, I'll take what they can give us, because I do like the armor test they had. The scaling armor that they offer there on the vendor looks pretty nice, and I fully intend to actually deck out a few of my characters in that stuff. And I do like the effect on some of the weapons, especially the Grey Helix lightsabers. Okay, they're pretty cool looking effects, and yeah, that's an incentive for me to actually do this event and hope that they bring it back more often. Not too often, like before, but on a decent enough schedule to where players can actually attain something tangible once that week is done.
Yeah, and it seems like they really don't have it down for events and how often they should be happening. Because now, like the bounty contract thing, that event is getting really stale because it comes back every month and nothing changes about it. They don't add new rewards or anything like that to keep people wanting to do that. And then the Gree event, you got lots of people that haven't maxed out their reputation with the Gree, and that event hardly ever seems to come back. Maybe they should alternate the bounty contract week and the Gree event. Like make one of them happen once a year or once every 6 months or something, and the other one happen monthly, and switch which one does that.
Right, and I think that could be a good solution. Like for example, they start, all right, so January starts off bounty contract week. That's the event. Then February is Gree. All right, then obviously March would be something else, and so on. You just rotate them through, but bring them back often enough to where it whets people's appetites and want to do more, be excited for it when it comes around.
That would be a good solution, I think. Like put the Gree event, bounty contract week, the Rackle event, put all those on a rotation where basically you see each one of them every 3 months.
Right, and we just came up with a solution now within 5 minutes. I'm sure someone over there has had the foresight to actually put this on a chart somewhere and realize, all right, what are the events we run every year?
Yeah, don't bet on it.
Okay, let's 12 months. Let's plot them out. We break them down evenly. There you go.
I saw somebody asked on the forums today about the Shevin event and bringing that one back, and Musco replied and told him, oh, well, at this point in time, that's a one-time event. It wasn't set to be recurring, yada, yada, yada. Which at this point, I'm one of the people that did the Shevin event, and I'm one of those people that's like, it happened at the time, and I was glad to participate in that, and I don't want to see it come back because I love the one-off things. But at this point, I kind of wish that they would run the original Rackle event one more time and the Shevin event one more time. Because, it's been so long, I have new characters now, and I'd love to get some of those rewards on characters that I've made since they've run it. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's new players in the game that didn't get to experience those the first time around. So I think it'd be fine if they ran those kind of things like maybe once every couple years. You give people an opportunity to get those rewards that aren't available anymore.
Right, and the thing is too with their events and the events they have planned for the year. Okay, not anything in terms of content updates, nothing like that. But we have to go back to when SWTOR was first being developed. The reason why they picked this game engine to begin with was so they could do spontaneous things like this easily, little fuss, and be able to drop it in the game and have it go live and have it work with minimal impact. Okay, that's one of the main driving reasons why the game engine is what it is so that if developers wanted to, within 2 months, they could come up with a completely new event for whatever time frame they wanted, come up with all the assets, everything, and just dump it into the game and no problems. And for me, it's like the intention was there, but for whatever reason, it's not happening.
Pan out.
Yeah, it's not panning out the way they wanted to. I mean, this is the reason. I mean, when we go back to the beta forums, when they first told us that they were using this version of the hero engine, we're like, okay, why? No, it's a simple question. Why are you choosing this engine? Oh, because this is what we want to do with it. Because we know with the ease of how we can build things and do things and then dump them into the game with little impact, that's why we chose it.
And after SWTOR came out, every MMO to follow that actually says that they use the hero engine, ESO being the main example, everybody really wants to know why that engine was picked. Because they view like every shortcoming this game has on the engine.
Right, and yeah, that could be a whole episode in and of itself. Because obviously the game engine has its limitations built in. And yes, as Fred just mentioned, ESO and TOR, believe it or not, use the hero engine. Except they use different versions of it. Okay? But for whatever reason, TOR has issues, technical issues or limitations with doing some of the things, or a lot of the things they'd like to do with the game.
And
Not to
I
say
really
they should
think,
try.
from personal observation in both games, I think that they can't do underwater swimming in the hero engine. I think that's just a restriction of it, because in both games, ESO has swimming, but you don't go under the water at all.
Right. I don't think that was planned for, though, but I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, I mean, but then again, in TOR, every body of water is, waist deep.
Well,
or it's an exhaustion zone.
Well, not necessarily, because on Manon, the water isn't waist deep, but you kind of find out, like, the way TOR's made, the water isn't real. It's just an illusion. Because, like, you jump into it on Manon, and you just go right through it like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how all those other planets are, too. You walk in that water that's waist high, and that water isn't real.
Right,
Your
you just get the sound effects,
through
though.
it, and you hear the sound effect.
That's about it.
It doesn't splash or do anything real.
Which pretty much explains why if you're on a speeder and you're flying over water, you don't fly through the water. You're actually flying through whatever body of water you're in, because the game doesn't recognize the fact that the water is actually supposed to be there. If you ever notice, your speeder is actually still off the same distance off the ground if the water wasn't there.
Yeah.
So the game cannot tell the difference between, oh wait, your avatar's moving over a body of water now. Gee, like in every Star Wars film, cartoon ever made, a speeder knows to just, I'm flying over water. I'm going to move the speeder over the water. Like it's supposed to fly.
They can't make water count as an actual object. And I really think if the game wasn't coded that way, like when you're on Manon and you jump in the water, it wouldn't just instantly kill you. You would actually be able to, like, swim in it and jump
you could
out
float,
of it.
Swim, exactly. You'd be able to do something with it. But again, that's a whole topic for a different day.
I mean, it's not an important bullet point, but it's just, I think that is something to do with the engine itself, where they have difficulties when it comes to water.
Does that water on Manon actually kill you, or does it just teleport you back to the land?
It technically kills you, because
Okay.
it puts you back, like, you have to respawn once you jump in it.
But is it like a durability loss death, or is it just like
Nothing I'm aware of. I haven't checked.
Yeah, I don't think you take durability loss at all unless an NPC kills you. Like, I think you have to get hit and die. But I think if you've been hit within a certain amount of time and then you die from falling, like, you still take durability damage. Don't know for sure, though.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that. But, going back to the events, obviously, we'd like to see, or I'd like to see personally, a much better cadence with these events to run. Okay, so that everyone gets a chance, a shot at partaking in it. And speaking of that, close to maxing out a couple of reputations on my characters, especially the Dreadmasters and Archon, and for Yavin 4. And for Yavin 4, I'm particularly psyched because, if you haven't looked at the vendors there. Once you get legend status there, you can actually buy the walker mount or a version of the walker mount for your faction for hitting max rep with the admin floor. And unfortunately, you can't see in the notes, but I actually posted a picture there of the actual ATRTs that the clone troopers used on Kashyyyk when you watch Revenge of the Sith. Okay, and that's what they are. Those are the personalized walker mounts that the clone troopers used back then, or will use several thousand years in the future. Okay, which pretty much inspired why we have the walker mount in Tor. So hopefully, I think by next week, because I capped out again early. So I have all the tokens saved up on all my characters, and once regular maintenance comes around and they reset, cool. I'll be hopping around. All my characters have 100,000 spare credits stowed away just for that.
Nice.
They're all gonna go to the Imperial vendor or the Republic vendor, and are all gonna buy the walker mounts for themselves. So
And I love this picture that you attached here because all these walkers look like they're in a Duralast commercial.
yeah, with the high beam lights on them.
Yeah. Like, that's how every Duralast commercial is. Like, you just see this truck in the dead of winter with just lights shining.
Right in your face. Go, put it away. It's blinding.
Well, what I've done over the last couple weeks, I obviously played my sorcerer with Paige's Power Tech, and we cleared through Alderaan, which the more I do it, the less and less I'm starting to like Alderaan. Actually, last week's video was our gameplay through Alderaan during Double XP weekend, where you can see us kill and subsequently teabag a Jedi.
Forgot about that.
I deleted the crap out of that sage that had his broken dreadlocks. And I laughed at the 2 new hairstyles that were added to the game. And I'm to the point now where I think BioWare needs to quit adding new hairstyles because they've proven that they can't add a single hairstyle to this game without it being broken.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Like,
I'm sorry,
I'm not giving them any more of my money to buy new hairstyles because they can't add anything that doesn't look hideous and isn't broken.
I mean, you just heard me. I actually bought that new shaggy hairstyle. Okay,
And isn't it wonderful how when you look at your character from different angles, the hair disappears?
yes, and especially in cutscenes or if you're actually in the middle of a fight. Because I actually have this on my gunslinger. Okay, and there are times during certain fights, when I'm moving around to get in a better position and so on the gunslinger. And so what happens is that obviously the hair moves. And believe it or not, when your avatar's head moves a certain way in a quick fashion, you will actually see just bald spots appear on your avatar's head. Like the actual hair isn't a part of your avatar anymore. It's not there.
Something is wrong with all this new hair they've been adding, because if you look on character creation, it's not even the same color as normal hairstyles.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different tint altogether. And the only one they've added that I, so far, haven't seen any cosmetic problems with is that pompadour hairstyle. That's it. The Elvis-looking hair actually seems to maintain its shape, not cause any bald effects or anything like that. That's the only one they've added that isn't broken. Every other hairstyle, you can go to the bug report forums and just see bug reports galore about all these hairstyles.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I actually took screenshots of cutscenes on my shadow. My shadow has it as well. Okay, and I have actual screenshots of cutscenes of her when she's moving around in the cutscene, and literally her hair is clipping, like it's disappearing on her.
I kind of feel like that fro hairstyle is probably another one that doesn't have any bug issues with it, but it's hideous. I would never put that on a character unless I was trying to just be a ridiculous character like a body type 4 with a fro. But it's like they can't add a normal hairstyle and not have graphics problems that are just completely broken with it.
Well,
Let me just stop you right there. They can't add a normal hairstyle, period. They're adding like all this crazy crap, and they can't even make the ones that they have work, so they really do need to stop adding them.
right. And it's a couple of folks pointing out in chat, like Palais and Robbie, okay? if you notice, like I think Pele pointed out correctly that they have the hairstyle to remove for helmets or for helms. Okay, you know what? That's fine, but I think they should have thought it through better to where, especially if you notice, like the newer armor pieces, especially the light armor pieces with the hoods, or medium pieces with the hoods on them, how now your avatar just goes completely bald. You can tell your hair graphic was removed from your avatar.
I mean, you could tell that on the original, the hat that goes with the Imperial uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your character becomes bald and they're wearing the hat. That doesn't explain why hats have ear flaps or anything like that. That's just a style design.
However, there's that one NPC, that female that's wearing that hat. She still has hair. So it's like, is it possible or not?
Well, it is for her because she was added in a flashpoint that came later, and they custom did her hair to work with that hat. They remove everybody else's hair because they don't want it to clip.
Oh, so they're gonna remove your hair so it doesn't clip, but they can't add a hairstyle that doesn't clip? Or just disappear completely off your head?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw screenshots when they added these last hairstyles that were just horrible. People were posting them on the forums where you actually see the character's head just popping through the hair. I mean, these aren't problems that should take 200 hours of playing with the character that has that hairstyle to see the problem. These are problems that you just look at one character with that hair and you see there's problems. We're not even talking about extensive QA. We're talking about BioWare added something to this game and didn't test it at all. And then charged people money for it.
Poor business practices. They need a quality assurance team.
Well, they supposedly have one.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
Because those people need to be fired.
According to the community team, yes, there is a Q&A team.
Well,
what do they do?
That doesn't mean that they're running every cartel market item by them. I mean, the QA team can only test certain things. But when it's a cosmetic thing like that...
If you're charging your customers, you should look over it first.
Well, I just wonder how they do this, because you would figure, if I'm the developer that's making a new hairstyle to sell, I'm not just making a hairstyle, like I would actually be putting that on a character to see how it looks. And it almost seems like they make these things, and then somebody walks over that's their boss and goes, oh, that looks good enough, just send it through. And we don't see any fixes for these things. Like, they're just like, okay, well, I guess, we'll just get it in when we can get it in. No, you just took real life money from somebody to have that hairstyle, and you can't tell me that it is a multi-week fix to fix those hairstyles. And they shouldn't have added new hairstyles until the first two they added were fixed. But it seems like every time we get a patch now, they're going to add 2 new hairstyles and just leave all of them broken. That's the impression I'm getting.
I can't say how long it takes to fix something like that, but I don't think they should be adding new things until the things that they've added are fixed. And I'm not saying, they shouldn't add anything new. I'm saying specifically to hairstyles. It seems like there's no root cause analysis going on here. Obviously, your system for making these is somehow broken. You need to figure out how it's broken instead of just releasing more broken products. I mean, that's like, if you compare these hairstyles to something like automobiles, and suddenly a car company who's been giving you good cars all along sells you something that's going to explode, and they're like, oh, well, we didn't test it first.
Well, it's not even just the hairstyles. Like, the other thing that I reported was in this last shipment of cartel packs, all the lightsaber models have these lights on them that it doesn't even look like they're supposed to have. There's just these yellow lights that just float outside of the lightsaber hilts. And if you post a bug report about it on the forums, they'll take the time to edit the title of your post, but they won't take the time to reply to you.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. They won't acknowledge, okay, yeah, those lights aren't supposed to be there, or okay, yeah, those lights are supposed to be there, but they're not fitting into the hilt like they're supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And Robbie from the chat, Robbie Hartsmith in the chat pointed out, it made a good point. People are still buying them regardless. And I think that's part of the problem, is the fact that even though it's broken, a lot of these things are broken, clip horribly, or have issues, people are still buying them.
Yes, but
And it's kind of...
every new hairstyle, less people are buying them. Because I know me, I was really excited when I started seeing new cosmetic hairstyles being added, and I bought the first couple. But since they've been broken, and everything they're adding now seems to be broken, I'm not paying a single cartel coin for another hairstyle until they fix the ones they've already put in that I've bought.
Right, and you're bringing up a good point. I mean, this brings me to my actual point is the fact that I just bought the new one, the shaggy hairstyle. I am never buying another hairstyle from the cartel market ever again, because seeing it in action when I'm actually questing or grouping up with folks in the game, or actually when I'm taking screenshots or in cutscenes and such, and seeing these horrible issues, are they game breaking? No, obviously not. However, cosmetically, aesthetically, to me, it's sloppy.
It's immersion breaking.
Right? Yeah, it's immersion breaking, and for me, it's just poor. It's poor workmanship, because you allow something that looks that bad out.
And
okay,
I'm too OCD. If I have a character that has a cosmetic issue like that, the whole time I'm playing him, I'm just looking at that, and it bothers me. So I won't play a character that is bugged like that. I mean, I just deleted a Sage that I was having a lot of fun playing because he looked horrible with the hairstyle that they put out that was broken. And I'm damn sure not gonna buy more cartel coins to change his hairstyle and reward them with more money because they put something out that's broken. I'll make a new character before I do that. That's what I did. I mean, I pay a subscription to play this game, and if they want more money from me, they need to put out a quality product that isn't broken. Every single thing that they add now, I'm going to question whether it's broken, and I'm not going to buy anything on the first day it's out. I'm going to watch the forums, because I know with confidence that anything they put out, within a couple hours, somebody's going to be posting on the bug report forums saying what's wrong with it.
Yeah, and you're right. And, Pilates made a point in the chat room, again, saying a bad cartel market purchase tends to drive people away from the market. That's true. If they want to have a strong cash shop, they need to have a quality shop, not a shovelware shop. Because, and I think that illustrates a good point, the fact that lately they've just been shoveling crap into the CM just to put it out there for people to buy, to generate obviously more revenue for themselves. Fine. You know what? No one's faulting them for wanting to make money. No one's ever questioning that, because they are a business. Problem is, the right way to do business is the wrong way to do it. If you keep throwing bad products at your customers, pretty soon you're not going to have any customers left.
I mean, saying that, okay, well, people are still buying it, to me, like, that doesn't excuse what they do. And also, the people who still buy it won't continue to buy things from there forever. It's just like any other store. If you walk into a store in real life and everything you buy you take home and it breaks, eventually you stop going to that store, no matter how cheap or cool something might look, because you know that it's just going to break.
Well, not only that, but like the first couple hairstyles that got put out that were bugged, people were taking pictures of their actual characters with the hairstyle and posting those on the forums. And I noticed with these last two that they added, instead of all the pictures being characters that had that hairstyle, most of them were characters in the appearance customization kiosk showing the preview of what the hairstyle would look like with the bugs, because they wouldn't actually buy it because they were smart enough to know it was broken. Like, people aren't buying that crap anymore. They're previewing it first. And when they see the bugs, they're taking pictures of the appearance kiosk that has the bug and sending it in. And I notice, for whatever reason, BioWare made it accessible so we could post images directly into the bug report forum and show these bugs. And then once they started putting out all this broken crap lately, they decided they're taking away the image posting capability again, so you gotta put it on a third-party site and make people click on a link. Because I think they finally realized, oh, it's bad for business if everybody can just come in the bug report forum and see all these pictures of all the bugs we have going on right now.
Right, and I think that was explained away, though, as another technical limitation that they, quote-unquote, suffer from, or things were happening in the background that they didn't like, so they took that away from us again.
Yeah, they tried to say, oh, well, it's been abused in the past, so we're taking it away again. You know, I mean, this is the way BioWare does business. Like right now, everybody's complaining about these broken hairstyles on the forums because you're not hearing a lot about these bugs and stuff on other podcasts. It might not bug other people as much as it bugs us. But these things are going on now. People on the forums are getting pissed. And it's going to be probably 6 months down the road, and then BioWare's going to be like, oh, well, we just realized that people don't like when we're putting out this broken crap. So now we're going to really concentrate on making sure we're putting out high-quality stuff.
Well, that's one of the problems that I have with BioWare. Instead of being proactive, they're reactive. And they're not even immediately reactive. They have a delayed reaction to where they're just like, oh, we made a mistake. No Shiduki, Sherlock.
I mean, just like, it's been like a couple years, and just recently they're like, we're going to be a lot more transparent now. Because we realize that's what people want from us. I mean, they're going to keep putting out broken hairstyles, and then they're going to be like, nobody... I mean, we're only getting a small number of people that are buying these now. I wonder why. Figure that out, Musco. Oh, well, people don't like it when you put out broken stuff. Oh, well, make a post about that. Oh, well, we've been hearing you guys. You know, we've been putting out some broken stuff, and we realize you guys don't like that. So moving forward, we're going to try not to put out broken stuff anymore.
Or he can do what he does, too, and go, oh, sorry you feel that way.
Sorry you feel that we've been putting out broken stuff, but... you know, you could have previewed it before you bought it.
Here at BioWare, we're sorry you feel that way. Suck it up, Buttercup. I like how you were telling us what you did, and then you just went off on an insane tangent.
Oh, that's enough of what I've done. Let's move into our discussion topic.
All right, and tonight's discussion topic, and this is coming from Eric Musco.
Speak of the devil.
Right, and this is in the Dev Tracker forum. This was posted a couple days ago on the 23rd of February, and this is what he wrote. Quote, hey folks, BioWare is partnering with ESL, which is the Electronic Sports League, which is an esport, to host our first ever Operation Victory tournament. It is a contest to speedrun our 8-man story mode operations from Shadow of Revan. We want to give you about a week's notice so you have time to get your teams together and establish your strategies. We will announce all the details within the next week, but here are some of the key pieces of information. The competition will be team-based and all operations run will be 8-man story mode. The qualifying heat will be 1 week, starting next Tuesday. The entire tournament will run over a few weeks with you submitting your timed runs to ESL. The best teams of the qualifying round will advance to the final round. Winners based on details we'll provide. There are some serious awards up for grabs, including but not limited to cash prizes for the top 2 teams, in-game items, and even a trip to be our guest at Star Wars Celebration. Look for another post within the next week detailing everything about the contest. I know many of you will be showcasing your practice and real runs on Twitch. I will make a separate thread closer to the contest where you can post your Twitch channels along with dates and times. I am looking forward to seeing all the great operations runs. Thanks everyone, Eric. End quote. So yes, there you go. There you have it. BioWare is, I guess, attempting to test the waters and want to jump into the eSports leagues. Okay? They want to get into the eSports arena. So
yeah, then people can see all the bugs with their operations on a massive scale.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. Okay? You know, what are our thoughts, our initial thoughts of that? Just hearing that off the top of our heads. Like, you know, do you feel good about it? Do you feel bad about it? Or do you not care? Indifferent? Your initial reactions.
I can go first. I see a lot of the company that I work for in BioWare. They have really good ideas. They're moving in a positive direction. Sometimes they put things out there and you're like, wow, that's really amazing. I can't wait to get into that. But behind your excitement, you're still concerned about where the company's heading because of their behavior when it comes to other equally as important things. Things that they just they're sloppy about, they don't care about. So I'm excited that they're doing something like this, but it's a fleeting excitement because underneath my excitement, there's still so much reluctance as to where the game's going and what I'm expecting from the game, just based off of how they behave on a regular basis. You can't just throw something shiny at me every once in a while and go, haha, forget that we suck a lot, and expect me to just continue to hope for the best. I'm excited, but I'm still reluctant, and I don't know how well that's going to go, because I have seen a lot of people post on Twitter about how the operations are really bugged. So, I mean, it's like, how are you going to put out a competition when your stuff doesn't even work?
Just to clarify really quick here, we do love this game and we have a lot of fun playing this game. Our problem is that a lot of the content they've been coming out with lately is not polished like it should be when it comes out, and they don't seem to be very proactive about fixing things either. Like, don't get the impression that we think anything is wrong with the game overall. Our main issue is just that BioWare doesn't seem to put a priority on fixing things that they put out, and they expect everybody just to be content with things how they are, apparently. And as far as this goes, I'm kind of indifferent to it, because this isn't the kind of thing that I myself would participate in. I am very confused why they would make the Storyman operations content be the caliber for competition. And I'm also confused because it seems to be that you're going to be timing yourself and submitting it.
Right.
I believe they would have, like, the video evidence, so they would actually know how long it took.
Yeah, because those couldn't be doctored.
Well, yeah, again, that's a point we'll delve into later. But, as for myself, I am sort of indifferent to it. I really don't care. I mean, I'm glad they're expanding their horizons for the game as to trying to go with different avenues, with expanding the interest in the game, trying to draw in more people, again, newer players, or again, keep the interest of current players up within the game itself. So I'm glad that they're actually looking to other avenues to spread the SWTOR brand out there. However, I think there are other ways, better ways to do it. Which then leads us to the next question. Okay, should the developer/game resources be allocated to support this endeavor?
I'd like to go first again.
Sure, and let me caveat that. Remember, folks, BioWare Austin recently canned the project for Shadow Realm. Okay, so all those programmers, everyone involved in that project, if they weren't outright released from BioWare's employ, is now back within the BioWare fold. Okay, and now they're up, supposedly back within TOR's pool of people. So, who knows?
Should have slid a few of them into QA positions.
What I was going to say is, it seems like right now they have a lot of people doing a lot of nothing. And I don't know it. I don't work there, so I can't say that, this person's not doing their job, because I don't know what their job description is. But there seems to be a lot missing when it comes to the support that the game needs to function properly and to be a high quality product. And when you have an issue like that, it just doesn't seem like a good idea to then put something else on these people that they're not going to be able to keep up with. If you can't keep up with the game now, if you can't do it right, then don't do something new until you can do what you can do right. I mean, I just said you can do what you can do. But until you can do your current job correctly. And it seems like they do have a lot of people there who just waste space. So you either need to trim the fat and get some quality people in there, or you need to take those people who aren't doing anything and make them do the things that we're missing now, like quality assurance. It seems silly that they're going to put resources into something when they can't even release something as simple as a hairstyle without screwing it up.
And Pelé was making the point in the chat that they need to focus on putting out high quality stuff if they want to retain people after the movies come out.
I mean, that's a good point as well. I mean, you can bring in new people all day long, but if you can't retain them, it doesn't matter.
I mean, just imagine if you started this game, this is your first day in the game, you come in as a free-to-play player, and you're like, okay, I'm going to spend the $5 to get bumped up to preferred. What do I want to buy out of the cash shop? Oh, this hairstyle looks awesome. So you pick that, and then all of a sudden your character looks bald, and that's the first thing you just bought with real-life money. I know I would be pissed, and I probably wouldn't play that game again.
Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. You don't forget things like that.
It's like when a vending machine eats your dollar and doesn't give you anything. Because if you buy something out of the cash shop and it is broken to the point where you're not going to use it because it's not functioning like it was advertised to, you basically wasted your money. You got nothing for spending your money. And it's not like BioWare gives refunds.
Okay, so Fred, do you think they should be putting resources toward this?
I don't think that they are. I mean, reading over this list that Lou went through, it seems like everybody's going to be timing their own stuff and submitting it. And then they're going to give out cash, some in-game items, which are probably just some cartel pack crap, and a trip to hang out with them at Star Wars Celebration. It doesn't really seem like developer resources are being allocated toward this.
Well, not as of yet, because remember, this is only the initial letter that he put out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, he said he was going to come out with more information soon,
Right.
So who knows what they're going to be doing.
Exactly. I think we'll get more of a solid idea of what they're going to do and how this is going to work for Tor later on this week or next week.
I think doing Storyman Ops as the competition is a stupid idea, and this could have been a good opportunity to really leverage something that's been neglected, like Galactic Starfighter, something that everybody could jump into at level 1. Could have actually had some competitions with that and been front and center.
Yes, but how do you determine who wins that? What one person wins that? Or if your team wins, I mean, that's only your team, your server. This, being the story mode flashpoints, this gives, I mean, yes, it gives only the in-game players the chance to compete, but at the same time, it's across all servers. And as long as you're there, you win.
Well, simple enough. You just make it so only one game mode is enabled for that week period or whatever, like domination. So at the end of every match, you have a score for your team.
Right, which again, all good ideas, which we'll wrap into.
I mean, I don't have all the answers. I just think that operations are a bad thing to set for this. But that's just my opinion. We have so many actual competition methods built into the game between Galactic Starfighter, PvP. I mean, why not ranked PvP that they're trying to get everybody to do?
Exactly, which brings us into, well, that's one of our other points, talking points. All right, if BioWare really wants to take Tor into the eSports arena, okay, the game already has PvP built into it. All right, we already have PvP maps built into the game. All right, what do we have? We have Void Star. Okay, we have Hutball. Okay, right off the top of our head, that's what we have.
And we have all kinds of arenas, too.
Right, and yet they still chose to go with 8-man story mode operations. And again, this is all just preliminary thinking and ideas, folks, because this is the very first letter he sent out. This is their idea, what they've got. We have no further details, so this is all just speculation. Okay? And as Fred mentioned before, okay, it seems like they're asking the groups themselves to send their own video footage to ESL directly. All right, so again, where's the oversight? All right, if they really want to enter the eSports league, or at least try their hand at it, again, we already have things in the game, built into the game, that can demonstrate that. All right. I don't know why they chose to just go with 8-man story ops.
I have this feeling that people are going to do this with their groups, and this is going to be how BioWare discovers a whole bunch of exploits with their operations.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's some of the feedback they've actually seen on this particular thread. You know how on the dev track they always have these threads saying, comment on this post or discuss this article? Okay, that's one of the concerns, is that right off the bat, some people have said, some players have written in saying, great, then it's a great way to showcase exactly what bugs are in these operations, right? You're going to see them firsthand. No denying it, because, hey, you know what? An independent group in your game just recorded themselves doing it, and look at this bug. Look at this one, and look at this one.
It seems like a really weird decision to make this into a competition.
Thinking about it, they broadcast this, right, so that other people can see it. I mean, the ESL, they broadcast it, or what?
Well, again, we don't have any idea what they're going to do, but yeah, ESL does do that. Again, to tie in, if you're not familiar with how the eSports works, okay, they usually host the actual stream of the footage, of the actual gameplay happening. So here, it's like, no, what they're going to do is, I think ESL is just going to rebroadcast someone else's footage. It's not going to be live. It's going to be, all right, yeah, this is the submission from this group.
I mean, you can listen to any other podcast out there that's doing operations, like UtiniCast. Tio's talking about bugs with these operations every week. These operations aren't even polished, and they're going to do a competition thing and put it on show for the whole internet to watch.
That's kind of where I was going, because I didn't know what eSports was. But if they are broadcasting that, even if they say, hey, look, this is the winner, they're putting themselves out there, and if there are issues like bugs and exploits and stuff, that is how they're, in a way, they're being represented. And if I were not a SWTOR player and I were watching a video and I saw things like that, it would turn me off and I wouldn't want to play. And at the same time, I'm looking at this list of other things that do the eSports, the other games. It seems like in some cases you'd be able to jump right in and participate. Whereas if you go, okay, yeah, SWTOR looks great, I really want to try that, I saw that video, it looks cool, and you start playing, you're a level 1, you can't do any of that stuff until the end of the game. And I guess that's a way to draw people in. Eventually you can do that, but you're drawing people in at a time where you're not putting out a quality game. It's just, I don't think this is a good idea. The more I think about it, the more I don't like it.
It seems like a really foolish thing to do right now. This expansion just came out not very long ago, and this event is going to be happening before 3.1.1 even happens, because they're aiming for that to happen around March 10th. So that's feasibly going to be our next round of bug fixes. It really seems like they're just going to be putting themselves out there for the world to see all of the lack of polish in the operations right now.
I mean, who am I to say that, whoever wins, whoever they broadcast, is going to have any issues? I mean, I don't know the fights. I don't do them myself. But, I mean, we don't even know if they're going to do any editing to these videos. I mean, what if they cut it out? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure if this is a competition, they're not going... The ESL isn't going to edit the video because it's going to be a competition video. They're going to want to see what that group did. But I don't trust this anyway, because the people recording the gameplay could even edit the video to make certain parts faster if it's not noticeable and whatever. Like, this whole thing, I don't have a good feeling about it. But again, this isn't my cup of tea right here. So it might turn out okay, but I'm very apprehensive because of the things I've heard on other SWTOR podcasts about the state of operations right now.
Let's all consider the competition that's out there now, and it's considerable. All right, what do we have? We have League of Legends. All right, we have Smite, Dota 2, StarCraft 2, in the RTS type games, all right? And obviously the MOBAs I just mentioned, all right?
But to be fair, though, that would be more of a competition if this was a PvP thing. I don't know of anybody else that's in this particular meta game, unless maybe World of Warcraft, if they're recording raids and timed runs.
Well, again, there are achievements in other MMOs for actually doing speed runs. You actually get an achievement for clearing out this rated content or this group content or whatever type of content in the fastest time possible. Least amount of deaths, what have you, but it's already in there. Speed runs, for me, aren't new because for a bunch of MMOs I played, that's actually an achievement you can get in the game. Right? There are achievements like that in Rift. All right, for clearing out the 5-man content. If you clear out certain 5-man content within 15, 20 minutes or less time, yeah, you get an achievement tacked on to your character. All right, so that's not really like who you're really competing against. All right, fine, you're competing against other players on the server, but okay. But it's just you against the clock. At least with the eSport, for me, my opinion, for eSports, it's you against another player. You against another human being on the other side of that avatar. Right, and I think, that's the point I'm trying to make, is the fact that, these other games that are out in the eSports arena, it is player versus player. You're still against someone else's skill. Okay, here all you're taking is, at least with SWTOR, the 8-man story runs, okay? And as Paige mentioned before, you're going to have operation teams out there. They're already decked out to the gills. They've got all their stuff. Okay, they're going to be rocking all their set bonuses. So yeah, what's going to happen? They're going to destroy 8-man story mode.
I mean, there's always the chance that even a group like that won't win because of RNG mechanics. Someone stands in the fire or whatever. Right,
but by the same token, they have their deck is stacked.
Yeah.
With them, as opposed to these other games I just mentioned. Okay, when you start up a match in League of Legends with you and 4 other players, you get your avatar. That's it. Everything else you have to earn and get from the store while you're playing the match. Like, you're not going to get your 198 right off the bat. No, you've got to actually play the match and get that as the match progresses.
But see, one of the problems that SWTOR has is these operations right now have certain bugs that you might experience them one time when you're trying to play through, like bugs that actually stop your progression, and then the next time you play through, you don't encounter that bug at all. So some of these groups are going to encounter these bugs, and some of these groups aren't.
Well, I mean, we don't actually know if it's going to work where you can only submit like one time. I mean, I imagine if you run into a bug where, your group wipes, that you can try the operation again, like, another week. I don't know how this is going to work, and, record your time that time. I mean,
exactly.
I don't
know. Again, we have no particulars. So, yeah, you know what? They could literally say they'll take the best timed run that they have on film, or recorded, and submit that. So, yeah, they're going to have runs where they run into issues, whether it's lag death, the RNG hates them all, but whatever. They're going to take the best submission they've got that actually works. And that's what, again, speculation, folks, and that's what's going to be sent to ESL.
But it won't do you much good, though, when the qualifying heat is 1 week long and you get locked out on a bugged run.
Well, and again, as Eric pointed out in his email, he has further details coming up. So, again, I think if they do submit teams from within the game, like, for example, if an 8-man team, a person team submits their application, yeah, we want to be considered. Who knows what they can do? Like, they could probably, BioWare, again, I'm speculating, BioWare could say, all right, you know what? This is your set roster. We're going to tag your avatars in the game to where you can run this content X amount of times. Like, all right, if you could do the one runs normally per week, once per week, all right, we're going to give you permission to do it 5 times. That's it. And out of those 5 runs, your best recorded run will be allowed to be submitted. And again, I'm just speculating, but if they don't want to run into these issues to where these issues, these things happen, and they will happen. You're going to have people saying, hey, oh my God, we ran into these 3 bugs. It totally destroyed our run. What's BioWare going to say? All right, tough bleep. That's it.
Submit an in-game ticket.
Tough cookies.
I mean, that's going to be it. They're not going to... I will be very surprised if they devote any development resources to this. Nobody's going to get special flags or anything. You're just going to have available to you what every other player has available.
Right, and again, that's why I brought up, we're all just speculating here as to what they can and can't do or what they're willing to do. So,
I don't think this is a good thing for them because the expansion is too new. They haven't had time to iron out all the kinks, and I think this is going to be a frustration point for a lot of players. And then I can just imagine the forum rage when somebody does win this and other people were like, well, I could have won, but I ran into this bug and this bug and this bug, and my group couldn't progress and blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to just be a mess.
Well, not to be negative in that aspect, but I really do hope that when these teams are creating these videos, that some of them do actually run into these bugs that, we've been reading about in the forums, on Twitter, on Reddit, and have actual concrete proof recorded somewhere saying, look, this is exactly what we were talking about. And then I would love to see buyers' reaction from that, saying, yeah, this is what we're into.
I'm sure that there's videos like that out there now if they'd look for them.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
That's the thing. I don't think that they care. But, I understand they're probably trying to get some publicity here, and that's why they're trying to do this, to get people talking about SWTOR again. But I think this is extremely bad timing for this. They should have waited until the operations they have out are as polished as they can get them. Because there's a lot of bugs now that other podcasts are talking about that they're experiencing firsthand, and they're doing this before the next patch even happens. Bad timing. This could be a good idea if they were doing something like this at the end of the Rise of the Hutt Cartel expansion. I would be all for this because, assumedly, when you're at the end of an expansion, your operations are as polished as they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But when we just had an expansion come out a couple months ago, and there's still all kinds of outstanding bugs in that expansion, I just don't have a good feeling about this. I hope that I'm wrong, though.
I agree. I think it's bad timing. I think it's a very good idea, but it's bad timing. I think that they should have considered more options. I think that there are some things that they should have thought about maybe before they decided to do this. But again, they're reactive instead of proactive, and I'm concerned that this will blow up in their face. Good idea, but they should have waited a while.
Do you concur with that, Lou?
Yeah, again, I wholly support the fact that they want to expand the brand and get as much publicity and do marketing to attract new players. And again, keep the player base interested now in the game. But with some of the outstanding issues that are in Shadow Revenants, especially with the operations with the 8-man or 16-man runs, I believe they could have waited until they fixed all of that to where it is, nearly flawless as possible, to where it is a smooth run. That the only issue players run into is player mistakes,
mm-hmm.
and and the occasional lag that does happen. Harbinger,
Wow.
Okay, Shadowlands,
low blow.
Okay, where the lag issues or server issues do happen, then that's fine. That's something players can understand. Okay, player mistakes and stuff that's out of their control, like that, server issues they can't control. Everyone can understand it. Yeah, they'll rage, but in the end they'll realize, oh, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. But yeah, good idea, but I think they should wait until they, fix everything to get nearly as perfect as they can, and then attempt something like this.
Yeah, if you can't put your best foot forward, you shouldn't be stepping out.
Definitely.
Just how I feel.
Okay, then. So, to move on, Paige, what's our Star Wars recommendation of the week?
For those interested in actually getting a look at the recommendation of the week, I will be posting a link with a photo on the Facebook wall after the show posts to iTunes. This week, I have a pretty simple recommendation. I don't have a lot to say about it because it just is what it is. It is from Etsy.com. There's a link if you guys want to look at it. It is a coffee or like a tea mug with the picture of, it looks like Treek to me on it.
Me too.
Picture of an Ewok. And it says, I endure you. Like, I adore you, but I endure you. It's cute. You can get it either with or without a heart over the little guy's chest. I just thought it was adorable.
I'm looking at the one with the heart right now, and it really creeps me out because it's reminding me of one of those those portraits that you used to see of like Jesus in the 90s that would just have that glowing heart in the middle for some reason.
Oh, yes. I remember those.
What are you talking about?
Like, they used to have this really embellished like picture of Jesus that was really common to see in the 90s, where he would just have this glowing heart in the middle of him.
Hey, it's the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Come on.
This one looks like the Sacred Heart of E.T.
It's the Sacred Heart of Treek.
Treek has no heart, especially after that opening intro when you first meet her. Which was funny as hell, by the way.
I want to buy one of these for Treek, but she'd just be in it.
Goopa noopa.
Lou, what's going on in the intelligence report?
All right, for this week's intelligence report, this is part 2 for Force Powers, the source of it all. And last week I said we pick it up to our new topic here, which is the Force Ghost. Or in a quote here from Ordith Hoart and Nalani Din. What is a Force Ghost? It's a survival, a sending from someone who has died but still exists in a certain way. The Force Ghost was the soul and essence of a deceased Force sensitive who denied the will of the Force upon death, yet was able to interact with the living, albeit not physically. Some Sith Lords learned similar techniques, which in some cases allowed them to physically interact with their environment. Dark Temple, anyone? While most Jedi would lose their bodily envelope and become one with the totality of the Force upon their death, some had learned a technique allowing them to retain their own identities separate from the Force for a time. Those individuals could linger in the physical world in the form of Force spirits, non-physical entities that exhibited most traits and abilities they had in life. According to the knowledge contained in Asli Crimson's holocron, that feat could be achieved by sublimating one's organic cells into a state of pure energy. In its normal state, a Force spirit could only interact with other non-corporeal entities. In order to be heard or seen by the living, the spirit had to manifest itself. There were different types of manifestation. On a basic level, a Force Ghost could appear as a floating, milky gray mass of energy that lacked distinctive features. But it could also manifest itself as the exact image of the dead being during their lifetime, only transparent and emitting a bluish glow. While it could appear to anyone it wished, a spirit could not choose to become audible or visible to only some beings and not the others, since the ability to perceive the manifestation depended on the beholder's strength in the Force. While many Force Ghosts could appear as a vision of the former selves, unmarked by injury or disease, others still bore the marks of what killed them. The ghost of Aiden Bach wore tattered robes and had gaping wounds in its body, the marks left by a lightsaber. Sometimes, a particular Force Ghost would bind itself to a Force sensitive as a guardian spirit for the purpose of providing wisdom, continuing training, and offering aid. Unless you're the Sith Inquisitor. In theory, Force spirits could neither harm or be harmed by physical entities, due to their spiritual nature. For the same reason, they could pass through solid matter effortlessly and were never hampered in their movements. While some spirits would simulate the walk of living beings, subject to gravity, others would hover and drift above ground level. However, in some cases, a spirit could acquire temporary solidity by drawing on a living creature's link with the Force, which allowed it to actually touch that creature. Notably, the ghost of Aiden Bach could make itself solid enough to shove Tash Aranda through a doorway. A manifested spirit could wield Force powers, although not all of them. It also had the ability to travel instantaneously to any point in the galaxy by force of will. That power, however, required that the spirit be familiar with the destination. The presence of the Force at the place of arrival was also necessary for that ability to work, since it acted as a beacon. Now we move on to Force healing. Or, in a quote from a Jedi healer, Bacta can heal the body, but the Force can heal the soul. Force healing, Force heal, or cure was a power that used the Force to accelerate the natural healing processes rapidly. Initial levels required meditation, but greater aptitude usually granted faster regeneration without need of meditation. Greater levels of attainment were also able to mend far more severe injuries, even major damage to flesh and bone, and even going as far as to mend internal damage, such as damage to the heart, lungs, and so forth. This was shown in a more perverse form by Darth Vader, but was properly utilized by the most skilled of Jedi. However, there were limitations, stemming if not from the nature of Force healing, then at the very least from the individual, as Force users were not seen to regenerate lost matter. Jedi healers use this power to diagnose and treat the ailments of their patients. A notable case of this use of Force healing was Silgal using the Force to cure Mon Mothma of a molecular poison that was incurable by conventional means, although strictly speaking, the method of healing involved Silgal's Force power detection and removal of the nanomachines afflicting Mon Mothma, rather than a direct application of Force energy against the damaged cells themselves. A variation of this power was Force purification, as well as Force assist, which was a Force technique that enabled the user to heal people other than themselves, and with enough concentration, the user was able to heal other bodies and minds simultaneously. Practitioners were many, as were examples of its utilization. Ki Adimundi used this Force power to heal a broken collarbone almost completely by meditation after the ambush of Jabba the Hutt's minions during Mundy's mission to find Sharad Het. Obi-Wan Kenobi used a basic form of this ability on Luke Skywalker after the latter's confrontation with Tusken Raiders on Tatooine in 0 years before the Battle of Yavin. Remember that scene, folks, from New Hope? And at least some members of a species native to Brodo-Asogi possessed this technique, while the Jedi of the New Order used this ability in the form of a healing trance. And now we move on to Force Speed. Or a quote from Kyle Katarn: "You can use the Force to speed up, both physically and mentally, allowing you more time to make decisions." Force Speed, also known as Burst of Speed or Force Sprint, was a core Force power that allowed the user to maintain sprinting needs for a brief time. BioWare: greater aptitude granted greater boosts to speed and or greater duration. The increased speed of the Force user enabled individuals to see the world and the entities around them in slow motion, allowing them to dodge attacks easily and attack quicker with greater accuracy. The technique was commonly used by many Force users throughout history, including Jedi, Sith, and the Matukai Order. In an organization of Force adepts who used the physical body to channel the Force. During the Clone Wars, many Jedi used the ability to great effect on the battlefields. It was also commonly used to increase speed during lightsaber duels as well as in unarmed combat. According to Jedi Master Tion Solasar's tome regarding the Force, there was a drawback to using this power. Using Force speed had a draining effect on a Force user's energy and metabolism, and required a longer recovery period. Using the Force to increase one's speed was a common ability among many Force users throughout history, with many able to both to use the Force to increase their muscle speed and to slow down their perception of the world. The increased speed of the Force user enabled them to see the world and the entities around them in slow motion, allowing them to dodge attacks easily and attack quicker with greater accuracy. With sufficient skill in this ability, one could actually run on vertical surfaces for brief periods of time. And again, according to Tion Solasar's tome regarding the Force, written at the time of the Second Galactic Civil War, Force speed would only be achieved after a Jedi used the Force to attune their entire body with their heightened reflexes. The power could be used with such velocity that they appeared to simply vanish from their previous position. If the user was in unarmed combat, they could use it to swiftly bring an end to a skirmish. However, there was a drawback to using this power. Again, using Force speed had a draining effect on a Force user's energy and metabolism, and required a longer recovery period. As a core Force ability, Force speed fell under the control area of the Force, which was the first aspect of the Force taught to Jedi initiates. Force speed was referred to by different names throughout history, including burst of speed, burst run, Force sprint, heightened speed, Force dash, Force quickness, and surge. And on to our next topic, Force stealth. Or in a quote from Jason Solo: "You blend in with the universe. Think of it as Force camouflage. The trick is to become so comfortable with it that you can slip into the state of being, dissolved, yet still carry on functioning, fully aware." Force stealth also referred to as Force Concealment or Buried Presence, was a power that was used by highly skilled Force sensitives to mask their Force alignment, light or dark, their ability to use the Force, or even their entire presence from other Force sensitives. This ability manifested in different forms. For example, Vergera would shrink her presence in the Force to a microscopic size, where she was almost undetectable and able to avoid mental attacks, even from Luke Skywalker. Darth Sidious was the most powerful and notorious user of this power, having hid his dark nature for over 3 decades from the Jedi High Council, even when in the same room. It has been argued that Revan may have used the technique to shield his true light side affiliation on Korriban in order to infiltrate the Sith Academy. Darth Traya used a powerful version of this to evade both the surviving Jedi and her Sith apprentices, as well as mask her nature from her own student, Mitra Surik, who in turn may have mastered this ability. Other users included the Janissarii, who constantly hid their presence in the Force from both the Sith under Darth Vader and the New Jedi Order. Xanatos used this kind of power to shield his presence when he infiltrated the Jedi Temple. He later taught it to the corrupted Jedi Initiate, Brook Chun. Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda both used a form of Force Concealment to shield themselves from Darth Sidious and Vader in their exile. One of the more prevalent derivatives of Force Concealment was the Kuei Tech Meditation. When properly applied and maintained, a Sith Lord or Dark Jedi could mask their own dark signatures, appearing completely benevolent to even the most powerful and alert Jedi. Known uses of the Kuei Tech Meditation included Asajj Ventress, Darth Tyrannus, although Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker were eventually able to see through shielding, Darth Maul, and possibly Darth Zana, Bane's first apprentice. Anakin's grandson, Jacen Solo, also uses this technique to hide Lumiya's dark presence. Jacen also used it to hide his own emotions from other Force users whenever he was upset or under stress. Ben Skywalker later gained his power from Jacen, and likewise his mother Mara Jade Skywalker learned it from him. Luke Skywalker used this ability to sneak up on Jacen during the Battle of Kashyyyk. Luke's control of this Force ability was so precise he was able to allow certain individuals, including his own son, to sense his presence when hiding from adversaries. By the time Jacen became Darth Caedus, he had used the power so much that he was able to constantly remain hidden with little effort, and taught the power to his apprentice, Tahiri Vela. The Hidden Ones, or the Barons Osages, used this power to fake their own deaths during the farewell ceremony. The Agents of Ossus were adept at using this power to evade the Inquisitorius and other Imperial Force hunters during the Dark Times. Now we move on to the Hibernation Trance. The Hibernation Trance, Healing Trance, Jedi Hibernation, Force Trance, or Recovery Trance, many different names here, was an ability that allowed Force users to go into a very deep hibernation state. Hibernation Trance was a control-based ability that slowed the user's metabolism and breathing to a standstill, causing the individual to only use 1/10 of the air of a normal individual. To all outward appearances, the individual appears to be dead. Only thorough testing would determine that they were alive. Individuals using stethoscopes would be able to detect a faint heartbeat if they listened intently enough, and life sensors would register a slight flicker. Other Force sensors with training in the sense skill would be able to sense the hibernating individual in the Force and know that they were not dead. A fully trained Force user could stay in a state for up to 1 week in a dry climate or 1 month in a wet climate, before dying from lack of water. Oops. By hooking themselves up to an intravenous water drip, they could extend the duration indefinitely. Individuals could hibernate for up to 3 months before dying of starvation. The application of an intravenous sugar solution drip could extend the hibernation period to a year. A hibernating Force user would appear dead to all but another Force user. This could lead to potentially dangerous results for the hibernating individual if nobody was aware of the truth. To avoid such situations, the person in the hibernation trance could provide a trigger phrase that, if recited by another person, would bring the Force user out of the trance. Trained Force users could also use a similar technique to place others in a hibernation trance. The target had to be a willing ally. The Force user touched the ally to place him or her into the trance. The ally would then benefit from the effects of the hibernation trance. The ally could not emerge from the trance on his own. He relied on the Force user to bring him out of it. A hibernation trance was a lesser form of the more advanced Force power, Murikro. There was another trance called Serenity, which was a brief meditative state that Jedi Masters used to regain focus and power. And this concludes part 2 of Force Powers. Next week, we're going to pick it up with Murray-Crow. And as always, I would like to say thank you to the Wikipedia, StarWars.com, TheForce.net, and the other great Star Wars lore sites that are out there. Folks, if you enjoy the Star Wars lore as much as I do, please go visit these sites. Look up your favorite topics and enjoy.
So, as a slight teaser, what is Murray-Crow?
Well, again, it's the actual more powerful form of the hibernation trance. Alright, there are different stages of this power, and this one's name, it's actually, it could actually, I'm trying to find an example of it. Gosh.
Next week when I'm going over the captain's log, I'm going to be like, how you say that? I'm not gonna remember.
You know, Murray-Crow of Tamriel.
Yeah.
And so that takes us into the community holo feed.
That's right, where we go over the trivia question of the week. Each week, we're going to post a trivia question into our YouTube video version of the show. Simply go to StarWarsBeyond.com, and we're going to link you right to the episode. On the episode page, there will be a button you press to see the trivia question of the week. Can't miss it there, folks, little bar. Alternatively, it'll always be after we say our goodbyes. Then, choose an email with your answer to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. In the email, please include your character name, faction, server, faction.
Faction?
Yes, and a faction. If there's more than one correct answer, that's right. Faction will be very helpful. If there's more than one correct answer, we'll do a random drawing to win a cartel pack. Everyone that answers correctly will be entered into a drawing for a much larger prize, which we just had a little while ago, folks, which we'll draw on the show every few months. You can be entered into the grand prize drawing every time you answer correctly. So even though if you didn't win that week, folks, your correct answer puts you into the larger pool.
So, Lou, you wanted to roll over the question until next week, right?
Yes. Yeah, no question this week, folks. We're going to take the question that just came out, from last week, and we're going to keep it going till next recording.
So, do we know if the winner of our grand prize has received the product yet?
To answer your question, Paige, Robbie S. should be receiving his prize tomorrow.
Well, I would love for him to tweet a photo at us of his product.
Paige, why don't you tell us what's going on in the SWTOR community?
All right, check out our fellow SWTOR podcasts. Most of them are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWTORnetwork.com. There's ToroCast at ToroCast.com, Corellian Run Radio at CorellianRun.com, UntiniCast at UntiniCast.com, SWTOR Skate Podcast at NewOverlords.com, The Usual Podcast at TheUsualPodcast.com, Old Republic Radio on iTunes, Healing SWTOR on iTunes, Enmity Podcast on iTunes, and the Bad Feeling Podcast at badfeelingpodcast.com. Be warned, that is an explicit podcast. Also follow Madmar at SWTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWTOR community. If you'd like to have your podcast listed on this segment, send us an email at StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com.
LA's our new number one fan. Take that, Jay Connell.
Jay Connell.
I'd say take that, Buckeye, but we know he only listens once in a while. And he probably doesn't make it this far into the show. Part-time fan. And you can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. You can send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet us at StarWarsBeyond. I'm at SithLordCorv. Lou is at GamerGuy11B. And Paige is at Asa Fiery. And now it's time for our final thoughts.
My final thought is, though I did say a lot of negative things today about BioWare, I do still love the game very much. I'm not going to quit or anything. I'm not a quitter. I just wish they'd do better. Call me, BioWare. We'll talk.
It is very possible to love a game and not quite feel the same amount of affection for the company that maintains it. I did that for years with EverQuest. We used to have that old saying, Lou, love EverQuest, hate Sony.
Indeed. And my final thought, I applaud and appreciate the fact that BioWare is making the attempt with the ESL to get into that arena. But I really hope they... alright, the 8-man story mode operation, I guess that's a done deal. But I really hope that if they wish to expand and go further into it, that they bring in the PvP aspect of the game into it. Bring in the maps that TOR has. Alright, get those PvP teams in there. Get them competing against one another. And really showcase what this game can do. And again, get the Star Wars name out there.
And as my final thought, if you happen to disagree with the concerns we've raised on this episode, please feel free to send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. We'll make sure that your voice is heard. And Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast made in association with NSG Productions, which, stay tuned, because we're going to be working on a new project with our NSG brethren in the next month. And now it's time to say goodnight.
Good night, everybody, from the cockpit of the ship.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. See you all again next time.
Good night, everybody.
You've served your purpose.
Beyond the Stars trivia question for the week of February 25th, 2015. First clue. Orphaned at a young age, my brother and I took to living on the streets. Second clue. Later, I was abandoned to live out my life on my own, until the day I met my best friend by saving him from a swoop gang. Third clue. One day, our adventures would cross paths with an amnesiac looking to rescue someone of importance. Fourth clue. Venturing across the galaxy would put my skills to use, from using stealth to slicing security systems and sleight of hand. Fifth clue. For my bravery in helping stop an evil menace, I was awarded the Cross of Glory, and a hollow statue of me stands in Axial Park on Corellia. Who am I? And as always, folks, please send an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. And in your email, please include your character name, the faction you play on, the server you are on. And as always, good luck to everyone. Looking forward to seeing your answers.